What's up guys, I'm Phoenix Master 1 and welcome back for some more Fire Emblem Heroes, and in this video I'm going to be giving you guys my first impression and the stat speculation of these fallen heroes that we're getting on 10th of this month. And the first unit that we have, I never saw this coming, so it's Mareeta from Thracia 776, and she's under the influence of Shadow Sword. So she's a sword infantry unit. We have a lot of those, but I fully expect Mareeta to be one of the best ones out of that because of her weapon. So she's got Shadow Sword. It gives her -1 special cooldown, and it also has the reverse desperation, kind of like Levin's for Seti Tome. So she has got desperation active until she goes below 50% health, and that is not going to be very hard to keep up because she's already pretty fast and likely strong. And you can also combine Special Spiral with this weapon, and you could trigger either any single combat with help of Flashing Blade 4 and her weapon, and Special Spiral of course. Null Follow-Up is also really good with a Desperation weapon, so she's able to negate your Weary Fighter and just attack you twice if you're an armor unit, so that is also a really great thing. You could also run something like Wrath, but it's gonna be hard to get in the range of that because she already starts at the Desperation range, and if you run something like Fury, then it doesn't really have good synergy with her weapon. So Wrath is probably an option, but not the best one because it can be hard to reach the range of it. Special Spiral is definitely gonna be one of the best options for her in slot B because that's open. And she's got Luna as her special, which becomes a 2-turn cooldown special. She's got Flashing Blade 4, another tier 4 skill with that ugly yellow border. And this is basically a Flashing Blade skill with giving you +5 true damage per attack. So this goes really well with Vassal's Blade on Carla because she can already get up to +7 true damage from that weapon. And if you run this weapon on Carla, then you can get +12 true damage per hit, which is really strong. Unfortunately, Nesala and Nino, the Flying Nino, cannot really have access to this because original Flashing Blade isn't really available to flying units, so I would assume that Flashing Blade 4 is also limited to infantry and armor units. It's not going to be available to cavalry and flyers. So Flashing Blade 4 is pretty good on her, giving her the +5 true damage. But as a tier 4 skill, it's not going to be something that's going to be game breaking. And then she's got Null Follow-Up as a slot B skill. Really good on a unit like her who's going to be fast. So yeah, this is a pretty good skill for penetrating through Weary Fighter and stuff like that with her high speed and then triggering your special. So you could always run Special Spiral if you do not want to run this, but that's an expensive skill definitely. So that's Mareeta, and she's definitely going to be a really strong unit, I feel like. She does 12 extra damage to this Axe Cavalier, which means that he has got 24 defense. And usually these kinds of generic Axe Cavaliers have 41 HP, which this guy had, and also have like 25 defense. So for her to do 38 damage to a 25 defense or 24 defense Axe Cavalier, she must have somewhere around 53 attack during this combat. And if you subtract her weapon's might, then she ends up at 37 base attack, so she's gonna be incredibly powerful if I'm not messing this up. And she's of course gonna be really fast to utilize Flashing Blade, so I'm expecting something over like 40 base speed. Carla already has 40 base speed, so I think she's gonna be having 41 base speed or higher. They could obviously go with something higher than that. So yeah, that's my expectation. Speed could be anything more than this, honestly. Bulk wise, I think she's gonna be having less like magical and physical bulk than Ira, but yeah, that's pretty much it. She's gonna be a monster offensively, definitely gonna be the main infantry sword unit who's really powerful. We haven't really got any of those for a while now. The last one I think was like Owain. So yeah, that's Mareeta. Definitely gonna be a tough competition for other sword infantry units. And then we have got Fallen Berkut. So this is a unit a lot of people have been asking for because he's a pretty good character, he's a pretty good villain, and his voice acting is also really well done. And he's also a really tragic villain. In his pursuit of power, he sacrifices the one human being that actually loves him. So that's pretty sad. And he's got Crimhild, his legendary weapon from Fire Emblem Echoes that he had in chapter 5. So basically this weapon has got a conditional distant counter. If he's within 2 spaces of an ally, then he can have the distant counter effect against the range units, and they cannot make a follow-up attack. So this is a really good thing because he's likely going to be really slow, so he's going to get doubled a lot. So this weapon can just stop those kinds of doubles. But because he's gonna be really slow, if the opponent has got something like Lancebreaker or any kind of skill like Bullfighter or just something which gives them a guaranteed follow-up attack, and if they win the speed check, then they can still double Berkut. And after the combat, if he landed an attack, then he deals 20 damage to the nearest ally. Now this might seem bad, but it's actually really good because you could set up Desperation, Vantage, Brazen Skills, Wrath. You could also set up Escape Route. You know, there are a number of things you could do with this kind of damage, and this is something which you could plan. It's not going to be something that's going to be random. You could also use this to set up Brash, Assault, and Desperation, which is a thing on a lot of slow units who are powerful. For example, you could have a Reinhardt near him on a Horse Emblem team, and he could push Reinhardt into the Brash Assault range, and then Reinhardt can just quad attack any kind of unit who could counter attack him back. So that can be an option, but Reinhardt, I think at higher merges is not going to be able to utilize that. But still, just an option of the things which you could do with this 20 damage. It's certainly going to be useful for many units and many skills. He's got Reprisal as a special, which is not really the best special for him. He's much better off utilizing something like Iceberg. And Warding Stance 4 is finally here. Warding Stance 3 is a skill which wasn't really present in the normal summoning pool ever. It was released on Halloween Sakura. We did get that as a Sacred Seal though, so you could easily stack up Warding Stance 4 and Warding Stance 3 Sacred Seal to have a lot of resistance. So it was kind of expected after Steady Stance 4, so it also has the guard effect built into it. So you're able to stop something like Quick and Pulse Reinhardt or like Flashing Blade or Heavy Blade mages, but still in Ether raids, mages with pre-charged specials are going to be a problem. Infantry pulse teams are really common right now, and mages don't really have the highest HP, so you can easily create a team for Ether raids defense, which utilizes some pre-charged special units like Philia, Lilina, and even Legendary Alm, I guess, now. So those kinds of mages can still do a lot to him with their specials. And then he has got Odd Res Wave as another skill to increase his resistance. So he's gonna be a res tank. Not a lot of... We don't really have any kind of Lance Cavalier who has got balanced defense and resistance, like good mixed bulk, enemy phase oriented. So he's definitely gonna be unique in that regard. Camus is definitely not one because he has got low resistance. And he deals 6 extra damage from his Reprisal, which means that he has got 40 HP. He's already taken some damage here, so that's why he has got 40 HP at base. And I'm expecting him to have same attack as the regular Berkut at base 34 because these Red Cavaliers, these generic Red Cavaliers do have around 17 defense. So I did calculate around that. So 34 attack is something I am expecting. And he's going to be really slow. And I think he's going to be min-maxed with having good defense and workable resistance at 30. I mean, he already has Warding Stance 4 and also Odd Res Wave. So he could get really tanky even with 30 resistance. So yeah, that's my stat expectation on Berkut. He's going to be a pretty good enemy phase Lance Cavalier for sure. Having good mixed bulk, workable attack, and also the fact that you could use him to set up another unit on your team with that 20 damage. Definitely going to be leading into some interesting setups. And we've already seen this kind of weapon on Lif in the story mode, but I guess this signifies that he is damaging an ally, in this case Renea. So that's probably the reference of the 20 damage on his weapon. And the next unit is Fallen Female Corrin. So definitely was not expecting this, and she looks really out of place on this banner because canonically she never really got possessed. Yeah, you could count chapter 5 in Fates where she went berserk. So that's probably it. This is probably the berserk Corrin, I think. In Warriors, she did get brainwashed as well, but Warriors is not really canon. They haven't really mentioned any kind of Warriors reference in Heroes, I think. They haven't really done that. So this is probably chapter 5 Corrin, but still there are many characters from Fates who you could put on this kind of Fallen banner. Fallen Gunter, Fallen Scarlet, Fallen Sumeragi, like Fallen Arete. Yeah, you could do that. So there were a lot of options for Fallen heroes because Corrin doesn't really get possessed by some kind of external influence, you know? She just goes berserk. That's pretty much it. She's just went insane. So I guess that opens up the possibility of Fallen Kana next year because Kana also goes berserk. I don't know, man. So she has got Savage Breath as a 16 might legendary weapon, this is an extremely strong weapon. So this gives you +3 attack, and this gives her extra stats during the combat depending on the allies within 2 spaces of her. So basically, in the best case scenario, she wants to be lost in thoughts all alone, because then she's going to be able to get +6 to all of her stats during the combat. That is extremely powerful, and even if you have just one ally near 2 spaces of her to give her some kind of drive buff or any kind of support, even then she's able to get +4 to all of her stats, which is not bad at all. So yeah, this is a really strong weapon. It also has the adaptive damage, of course, but it doesn't really have the inbuilt distant counter. So for the high investment, you would have to run distant counter on her slot A skill. And then she's got Dragon Fang as her special. Attack speed solo is finally present in the normal summoning pool now. Previously only legendary Erika had that. So attack speed solo combined with her weapons effect can give her +12 speed and +12 attack, which is a lot. She comes with a new slot B skill called Sudden Panic, and this is similar to Aversa's Knight, at least the half of it. So if the foe has got less HP than Corrin, and if they are beside an ally, then it inflicts panic status on them. So pretty similar to Aversa's Knight, but she's not able to get the -3 debuff like Aversa's Knight. And there's also the fact that this is going to be occupying slot B, which has got a lot of really good skills. Mostly armor units and infantry units have got the highest HP. Armor units would not want to run this kind of skill on their slot B. They're much better running off something like Weary Fighter or Bold Fighter, or any of the fighter skills actually. But on a cheerleader team in Arena, I could definitely see a use of this. Maybe on someone like Gwendolyn or Sheena. So you could have this kind of skill on them for cheerleading. Definitely good in that regard, but other than that, this occupies your slot B skills. So other than like support units, not a lot of units would like to sacrifice their slot B skill for this skill. I guess you could use this on someone like Mordecai, who has good HP, and he also has the debuffs from his weapon. So you could run this slot B skill on him, and also run Infantry Pulse to utilize his high HP and get a lot of support out of that. But then you're going to be sacrificing the Link skill on him. But still, that's an option nonetheless. I just wanted to mention that. So yeah, this is a pretty interesting skill for support. Doesn't really invalidate Aversa at all. I know a lot of people have been panicking over this skill because a lot of people finish their plus and merge Aversas, but I think this is fine. This is probably going to be having some kind of restriction as well, I think, to infantry or armor units or something like that. I don't really see a lot of like cavalry units making good use of this. They do not really have a lot of high HP. Maybe someone like Eldigan who has got high HP, but that's pretty much it. So yeah, that's Sudden Panic. Interesting slot B skill, but definitely has a lot of competition being a slot B skill. If this was slot C skill, then yeah, that would be completely insane. But it is not, and Corrin is not really a very good user of this because she only has 43 HP. That's not a lot. You probably want to run like HP +5 as a Sacred Seal to increase the potency of this skill on her, but still it's not really all that optimal. She's much better utilizing something like, I don't know, like Quicker Post, Vantage on her slot B, even Wrath, or Special Spiral. Any of those offensive skills which can make her powerful. So here she's going to be triggering her Dragon Fang, and she does 33 extra damage to this poor blue mage with her special, which means that she has 66 attack during this combat. Now there are a lot of like attack increasers in her base kit, like her breath, attack speed solo. So after you subtract all of that, you end up at 35 base attack, which is pretty good for Corrin. I also expect her to have high speed at base 37, kind of like a drift female Corrin, and be more geared towards like offenses. So she's gonna be having like okayish bulk at base 30 defense and base 24 resistance, which is still pretty good. If she gets the extra stats from her breath, she's gonna be still really tanky. And also the fact that she's a colorless infantry dragon is pretty amazing for ether raids. So you could make her into a super tank, I guess, and have something like null counter disrupt on her, which you could use because she's an infantry unit. So yeah, colorless infantry dragon is pretty good. She's the first one in that category. But still, I would have liked if this was Fallen Gunter or Fallen Scarlet, because their like backstory is pretty tragic and they are like possessed in the story, unlike Corrin. Because this is not the darkness which is controlling Corrin. This is just pain and grief which forces Corrin to go berserk, I guess, if you want to get deep into that. And then we've got Fallen Young Tiki as the final unit on this banner. So this is like our 6th Tiki, I think, and that was the 7th Corrin. I know the game considers male and female Corrin to be different characters, and I think it's the same case for Young and Adult Tiki, but still. So this is when she is brainwashed by Garnif. She's got Racing Breath, which is a dragon effective weapon. Similar to Legendary Tiki, it also has the distant counter built into it. She's got Ignis as her special, Brazen attack speed, which makes me think that she's going to be more oriented towards attack and speed. And the fact that she already has Special Fighter also makes me think that. And finally, she has got an exclusive Slot C skill in Solitary Dream. So this is kind of a counterpart to With Everyone. So here she wants to be alone or near a dragon. So at start of turn, if she's adjacent to a dragon ally or if she's alone, then she gets +4 buff to all of her stats. And she can also move 1 extra space, which is pretty insane and kind of nullifies one of the weaknesses of armor units. So movement is not going to be an issue with this Tiki, because if you run her with a Dragon Emblem team, or if you just have her alone at start of turn, then she can get the infantry movement basically. Actually better than infantry movement, because she's able to have no penalty when she traverses the forest tiles. She still has the weakness to armor effective and dragon effective weapons, which are kind of common, especially armor slaying weapons are rather common in the metagame. So that's Fallen Tiki. She's definitely going to be having 180 BST because Legendary Tiki has that. And here she's going to be absolutely destroying this bow fighter with this Ignis. And she's able to get 32 extra damage with Ignis, which means that she has 40 defense, and we have to consider that she's getting extra 4 defense from her Slot C skill. So after you subtract that, she ends up at 36 defense at base, and she also has 45 HP if you count the HP, which is missing in this trailer. So 45 HP and 36 defense is just confirmed. And I did calculate the damage on this generic bow fighter. This guy is a 4-star generic bow fighter, and from my calculation, I think she's going to be having 37 base attack, which is better than Legendary Tiki. I guess one of the shortcomings of Legendary Tiki is that she doesn't really hit as hard as some of the other armored dragons like Halloween Myr or Fallen Grima. So this version of Tiki can definitely hit harder than Legendary version, and I think she's going to be fast, having like 39 base speed, because if you want to use Special Fighter, you definitely need to have some top-notch speed. She already comes with Brazen attack speed, and after being in the range of that, being at 46 speed, I think it's a pretty good benchmark to utilize Special Fighter. So she's probably going to be having more speed than bulk. I expect her to have low resistance, because after you distribute all of the stats, resistance is kind of the only stat which is going to be lowish, I guess. So she's gonna be a really powerful armor dragon, not like anyone didn't see that coming. And yeah, she just went insane after she lost to Nino in that voting gauntlet. It's overall a really good banner. Everyone gets something. People who care about characters, they get Fallen Berkut, which they have been asking for a really long time. And in general, like, he's such a cool character. His sprite animation is so amazing. He's laughing like a maniac, like Light Yagami from the last episode of Death Note, which I really like. He even has the same haircut, I guess, as Light Yagami. So yeah, really good sprite animation, amazing art, amazing voice acting, and he's gonna be a pretty good enemy phase unit as well. So he's gonna be unique in that regard. And also has some meta influential units in Fallen Tiki, who's gonna be 180 BST Dragon. So whales in arena are gonna be wailing for her, having her at +10. So expect her to see in your arena runs a lot with that +1 movement. So watch out for that. And also Fallen Corrin is going to be meta influential in ether raids, because whales who care about ether raids are going to be wailing for her to make her into this super tank, because being a colorless unit is pretty good. But still, I guess Veluria is a bit better when it comes to super tanking, because beast slaying weapons aren't really all that common compared to dragon slaying weapons. But still, you know, Fallen Corrin is pretty good in that regard in ether raids. And then we've got Mareeta, which is also another meta influential unit, I guess you could say. Depending on her stats, we still have to see that. But I think she's going to be having solid stats. So she's going to be a really powerful red infantry sword unit. And she does have that increased BST, the Gen 3 BST. So she's pretty much like a Gen 1 armor unit. And she can score really well in arena because of that. And even in ether raids, you could use Mareeta as a really good Gale Force unit, because she already has Flashing Blade on her slot A. She has the -1 cooldown on her weapon, and she has Desperation as well. So makes her into a really good Gale Force unit in ether raid. So overall a really good banner, because it has something for everyone. For the people who play for power and stats, it has got that. And for the people who play it for fun, you know, Berkut is there. And we're gonna be getting a Fallen Delthea for free. She's likely gonna be an infantry blue mage. with some kind of aura tome. It's a sad thing that Luthier is not in this game, but yeah, Fallen Delthea is going to be interesting. We don't really have artwork of her as of yet, but data mine is going to be happening tomorrow. So Fallen Delthea is going to be interesting what they do with her stats, because she's going to be having the increased BST compared to the original version of Delthea. So definitely looking forward to that. And Fallen Berkut is going to be my #1 priority. I would really love to make a team battle with Fallen Berkut against Legendary Alm. It's a shame that Alm's Legendary Hero battle vanished before this, but whenever it comes back next time, I guess I'm gonna try to do that. So yeah, that's my first impression and the stat speculation on this unit. Let me know if you agree or disagree with my stat speculation, and what are your thoughts on this banner. Let me know in the comments, and if you enjoyed this video, then please be sure to leave a like. It helps me tremendously. And if you haven't already, then make sure to subscribe for more Fire Emblem Heroes content, and please be sure to hit that notification bell and click on all so that you can always get the updates to my videos whenever I upload, because YouTube sub boxes are about as functional as Renea. So with that being said, I'll see you guys next time. Thank you so much for watching, and have a great day.